Welcome to Seven Kings Metals. This is the first video for those who have already been through the introduction, and we're dealing in precious metals, more specifically gold and silver. Uh, I favor silver more so because of the fact that it's also a commodity. And we know that in 1933, I believe thereabouts, they made it illegal to continue to own gold. So in the event that the economy crashes and we have a run on the banks and they have a banker's holiday where the ATMs and everything shut down, you would be your own private banker if you were holding uh, gold and silver in your personal possession. As we move towards what appears to be a digital economy, which is the centralization and the control of, uh, of money, as we see the largest distribution of wealth happening in this last decade. We seen it in 2008 when the housing bubble crashed, with the crash of the housing bubble or the busting of the housing bubble and subprime lending and the derivative market, and also we've seen it and we're seeing it now in real time with the pandemic and the loss and shutdown of businesses. But at the same time, we see big tech and the rich making billions and billions of dollars, and the pharmaceutical companies making billions of dollars. Um, so this is only a preview, pretty much, or prelude to the biggest possible bubble busting crash of the dollar and all of the associated markets, and anything connected to fiat currency will be a collateral damage, whether it's 401ks or anything, the stock market, which is as a result of what they refer to as quantitative easing. Because of quantitative easing, the stock market and everything is being kept afloat. Now, in previous historical cycles, the thing that has kept the United States out of hyperinflation was the strategic move of pegging all purchases of oil to um, to the American dollar, and therefore that's where the term petrodollar came from. Uh, but that is one of the things. The other thing that has kept us from hyperinflation is actually may be one of the secrets, is that the fact that our country has profited tremendously from the opium and various other uh, uh, drug cartel trade. Um, and even in the movie uh, The Godfather, you saw in in the last, I think, movie three, that he went to the Vatican Bank to legitimize his money, and it's very interesting that we have the same thing with the Contra, uh, the Contra South America, where the cocaine money, um, and that the fact that this is where the crack epidemic, cocaine was being, transferred. So we have a public, private, and a hidden, and this was all part of the hidden economy. And we have also a private economy that, unfortunately, our public schools don't teach financial literacy, but the private schools and the wealthy, they they teach their children from a very early age about commercial law, banking law, how to control their trust funds, their wealth, and their entitlements that come along with from generation to generation, or to transfer generational wealth through their trust funds and them being beneficiaries of a long line of wealth, generational wealth transfer. So, one of the things that I really wanted to focus in on is we spoke about briefly here about the public, the private, and the hidden. But some of the aspects that make these kind of conversations important is because we want to deal with some insurance as we see the economy crashing. We want to have some assurances and a safety net for ourselves and our families and our loved ones, and in addition to that, to build generational wealth. Now, one of the things that I use as my glasses or my filter to perceive this reality or false reality, which depending on the way that you perceive it, because we all have our own separate perceptions of reality, but nevertheless, we want to have a manner in which we can judge what is real and what's not real. Not necessarily so much that we can establish that it's real, but we can establish whether it has functionality, sustainability, and adaptability. And this is very important because these are the essentials that maintain all life. If something cannot function, it dies. If something cannot sustain itself, it dies. And if something can adapt, it dies. So we use these glasses or this perceptual filter to keep ourselves focused on our purpose as we want to empower ourselves and grow in the life cycle and not get sucked into things that distract us away from the essentials of life and what's important in our relationships to our loved ones and our people and our family, and how to sustain them and how to function in a manner in which we empower them, and also that we're able to adapt to these changing times. And one of the financial tools to do this is the precious metals market, or gold and silver. And if we look around the world right now, the major countries, and the wealthy and major investors, they're buying gold and silver. Of course, we have diversification. We have cryptocurrency and stock market and various other investments. However, historically speaking, the gold and silver has always been and has been the paradigm, well, not so much the paradigm, paramount to the measuring of money, real money, God's money. And the other things are really derivatives, because anything that gets away from the source will become a derivative. And the further away from the source the derivative gets, just like chemicals that are, water is added to it, and then that is diluted even further. And the analogy that can be used actually is, since it's been mentioned already, is chemical derivatives. And for example, the opiate and the derivative of the opiate, down to the morphine, to the heroin, and to the codeine, and each one becomes weaker and weaker and weaker as they get away from the major substance, which is the original plant life called opium. Okay, now in addition to functionality, sustainability, and adaptability, we want to take into consideration that there are various levels of warfare. There's psychological warfare. There's economic warfare. There's chemical warfare. And we want to keep in mind that the financial warfare or economic warfare, we need weapons or tools. And financial literacy is essential in the study of historical cycles. In the financial cycles of money defined initially throughout the ages, as even the Constitution said all legal, lawful money was gold and silver. Nevertheless, we've came and grown into this derivative market, which is very complex. But the fact that there's a war, a financial war, and we have the distribution of wealth disproportionately being shifted in a continuous, constant basis on in real time as we speak, being shifted towards the rich and the wealthy. And the gap in the middle class is losing more and more, and the gap between the rich and the poor is growing. And just like energy, this is unsustainable unless the people can be maneuvered and manipulated through various kind of tactics and disinformation about what is real and perceived as real. And if we look at even the diamond market, well, the reason that diamonds, they're not really a man's or woman's best friend, the diamond market is actually very, very weak because of the fact that the De Beers that have exploited South Africa, the De Beers, they have a surplus of diamonds that they keep suppressed, so the supply and demand for diamonds stays great. The demand for diamonds stays great because they have vaults and tons of diamonds that they don't let out into the market because of their monopoly on the diamond industry. And they don't let it out into the market, therefore making it appear to be a scarcity, a source or commodity scarcity. Consequently, we invest in really what would amount to, had they flooded the market with the amount of diamonds that really exist, they would just be very extremely indestructible, almost indestructible glass that is more favorable to industrial drilling and for drill points because of their ability to sustain heat and pressure, because that's how they're made, just like we are. Many of us are made as a result of the pressures of life, and being in the fire, and like precious metals, that's we melt them in the fire. Diamonds come about from carbon being under pressure. So all these things are metaphorically an analogy that we can look at in regards to how we handle situations out of necessity. In a lot of instances, and out of the laws of necessity comes the mother of invention. And this is why we constantly have to reinvent ourselves. And this is what we want this channel to do, to empower us, to allow us to reinvent ourselves with financial literacy and knowledge and understanding of historical cycles, as well as not just historical cycles, but the study of all of the markets, the study of the psychological tools that have been, utilized to socially engineer us into thinking that something that is substantially worthless. However, a good example of that would be, what is its functionality? What is the difference between a Ferrari and a Fiat, or a small car, an economy car, when the function of it is to get you from point A to B? Or the difference between, and we're all accustomed to this. All of us have been socially engineered to think and give more value, and I intentionally wore today this polo shirt because at one time, this is a status polo, but it's a sweater, and I had two functions in putting it on today. Two functions. One was that the fall is here, and I wanted to get warm and warmer, and this is very nice, comfortable, and of course, I can do this, that, and the other. And the other one is I wanted to use it as an example of how our perception, we give more value to a symbol, and symbols are what are used in our understanding, because a picture or a symbol is more than worth more than 1,000 words, as they say. And the symbols on the dollar bill, the symbols of the pyramid, and the all-seeing eye, and the symbolic perception of power. One person can have on a uniform, and that uniform is symbolic, that there's power behind that's representing him in that uniform, be it the military, the police, and even the school crossing guard. When they can tell you to do something, and you'll do it because of the authority and back of the symbol that they represent, which is the uniform. But another person come along and tell you to do something, and you laugh at them. I'm not doing it, because you don't see or perceive the power that you've been programmed and conditioned to respond to and be obedient to. So this is why it's always a struggle for free thinkers, and this is what this channel wants to also be about. So this is the first video, and I want us all to have and put on our critical thinking caps as we explore the gold and silver commodity market and the gold and silver market as money and wealth, God's money coming from the ground, indestructible, enduring, durable, and the power that governs the financial and economic engine. There's nothing with more energy than gold and silver. And this is why, as we critically look at who's buying the gold, what countries own the most gold, and what is the relationship between the world currencies when the United States is no longer the reserve currency because it's losing its strategic position as the reserve currency of the world, and people are dumping the dollar, which is going to increase or decrease our capacity to balance out the trade deficits. Also is going to increase and accelerate us into hyperinflation as the dollar buys less and less, and people aren't willing to trade, and we can't, and we won't go into the industrial war complex that President Eisenhower warned us about on his way out as the president, We're not going to discuss that right now, and we'll bring that up as another topic. So I appreciate the opportunity to share this time and this video with you, and I hope that you will be able to glean or get some information as we continue to talk about the public, the private, the hidden, what's functional, sustainable, and adaptable, and how we can improve our lives by traveling down this road of empowerment, financially speaking, about gold and silver as a tool and a commodity, and some other opportunities to increase our self-worth and our net worth with gold and silver, and how we can accumulate gold and silver. And I will be posting links on the YouTube site and resources that can be looked at and studied in regards to how we can increase acquisition and possession, or your possession of gold and silver at some very direct, without having brokers involved, and the study of the difference between bullion and numismatic coins, ounces, troy ounces, and the various different aspect of the gold and silver market. So I thank you and for giving me this opportunity to share this information. There will be the next video will also start to speak about the journey that I traveled to arrive at where I am today as an affiliate marketer dealing in gold and silver. So I thank you for letting me share, and I hope that you will or have enjoyed and will continue to tune in, and we can all build together as I get feedback and questions that I will have a question and answer response button or something to that effect. Okay, thank you so much, and have a great, fantastic day.